Welcome to the Greatness Garage, where small business owners come to get the tools and insights to work on their business, not just in it. To get more, check out the Greatness Garage on Facebook and join to become a member. Good morning and afternoon, Greatness Garagers. We are in the shadow of Mauna Kea on the big island of Hawaii, and Hawaii's got this unique thing, right? It's kind of a New York thing. We are on the island of Hawaii in the state of Hawaii. And the island is called the Big Island because if you look at the Hawaii chain, it's the biggest island there. So if you don't know, now you know. I'm here with my great friend Greg Gagon, and he is here to just unleash the power of the ocean and of all the epic stuff that he understands. He has gone through, he has opened many UPS stores, he is a businessman, but he is so many things more. He believes in barefoot walking. He's going to tell us a little bit about that. It is an epic belief in understanding the health of us and the alignment of everything we do. And he's going to tell you how he did all this without the formalized training that we sometimes think that we need to go through, and how he learned through the process of just listening to others. And he's also going to give us the big answer. He's figured this one out. What is the matter with people? He's got the answer here. So Greg, welcome, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm well, my friend. Look at this.
Right?
Is it not wonderful?
We are blessed.
Yeah,
we are blessed.
We are.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me here to hang out.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself, personally, the business, all the stuff. Kind of just roll out, man.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm a California kid. I grew up in San Diego, born and raised in San Diego, and decided to set some roots down there after high school. Started with just a normal job like everybody does, right? And then led into a career of business ownership, which was a little unexpected.
That's awesome.
But at the same time, I felt like I was ready for it. You know, I had my bead on the idea of business ownership. I was a young kid.
Yeah, let me ask you.
Yeah.
So what do you feel kind of drove that for you? What was that energy?
Oh man. Well, I can tell you a story. When I was 13, I think I was 13 or 14. We had family that lived up in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. And so every year, every summer, every other summer or so, we would head up and visit them. It was my Aunt Claire, my Uncle Greg, and all of my cousins. We had seven.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we'd go up there, and I remember, we'd stay with them, and it was always wonderful, and it was just beautiful, different scenery, and we'd hang out with family. And I remember waking up early, and my brother and I shared a room, and he always slept in because he was a teenager. And I woke up early, and I'd go outside, and I remember this one morning, it was a Wednesday morning, I walk outside, and my Uncle Grady is sitting at the table. And he's drinking coffee, and he's reading the paper, and he looks up at me, and he's like, "Hey, sport." And I'm like, "Hey, Uncle Grady," and I go pour my cereal and whatever. And the day goes on. Well, the next day, Thursday, I wake up, same thing. I go out early. Uncle Grady's sitting there. He's reading the paper, drinking coffee. "Hey, kiddo." "Hey, Uncle Grady, pour my cereal." Friday, same thing. Friday afternoon, I asked my mom, "Why is Uncle Grady always here?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" And I said, my dad was in construction. So 5 o'clock rolls around. He's out the door.
Yeah.
Lights are on, and but it's 9 o'clock, and Uncle Grady's here, and he's always here. Does he have a job?
Yeah.
Right? And my mom was like, "Oh, well, your Auntie Claire and Uncle Grady own their own business." And so when we come in town to visit, they're able to just take the time off. And he calls the stores in the morning,
Yeah.
and then he calls the stores in the evening to get some numbers that he would put in a book that was always on the table.
Oh, yeah.
This is how I remember it.
Old ledger.
Cool.
Yeah.
He would just kind of get his numbers, know how things were going, and then the next morning, actually before the paper, he would go over. If anything big came up, one of the two of them would drive in. So they own pet stores, and they had started from scratch in San Diego with a single one, then went up there, and eventually opened 3. It was called the Pet Line, and so that was the moment that I was like, oh yeah, this is a different type of thing. And I always refer to my Uncle Grady as a possibility model, because you have role models, right? And then he was a possibility model because my dad was an incredible human being. He worked in construction, worked his way up from basically being a ditch digger to general superintendent of a very large company, and did well for us. It was wonderful. However, I had not known anything different was possible until I kind of saw that with Uncle Grady. And so part of me was like, that's great. Right? Yep. I don't want to have to work every day. I want to just
easy
street
look good.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Business is easy. but in any event, it just created the the mindset of like that's a thing. Okay, that's a thing. That's a real thing.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of that undertoning. We don't realize it at the moment, but there's that undertoning of freedom to choose to be able to do that, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I think that's probably the best.
I think unfortunately, socially, we only know to label it as easy street, but it's really that freedom that
and that was it. And so fast forward, it had always been on my kind of radar, I thought, and I just never knew how it was going to happen. I worked normal jobs. Minimum wage, pretty good at saving my money. Fast forward a few years after high school, I had a chance to start working at what was then a mailbox, etc., which then became UPS stores, and I learned a ton. I had an incredible mentor named Kurt Jones, and then an opportunity came up to work with a guy who was getting a store, and we just hustled. It was like my first hit of hustle for a solid year or so. And we partnered, decided to create. So that was the entry point. I was like, oh, chance at business ownership. And it wasn't like, I had next to no money. So it was really just a very sweat equity, partnership. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna grab this bull by the horns and take it, and I did.
That's awesome.
And so the rest was.
Well, what's cool about that though is that I think sometimes when we go into the hustle part of it, don't we look back at that so fondly, right?
Yeah,
When we were in it, it was tough, and if we had to go through it again, I don't want to go through. I'm so glad I did it, but
I did it then, and I'm glad I learned the lessons then, which shave years, shave years off your learning curve in the future. But what's funny is I almost wish there was like a little video camera that could go back and show my current staff how hard I actually worked. You could even tell stories and they're like, oh yeah, sure you did. They just think you're sitting at home throwing dollars in the air like Scrooge McDuck or something. But it's not like that. And so those were the hard hustle times, and it was probably like three really solid years of that. And my partner and I, if I remember correctly, kind of really started to explore the idea of multiples. Like, we do it here, we get it kind of right. What's it like to do it again? What's it like to do it again? And so, I think it was on the back of a Subway napkin, which now I find ironic because it's a very large franchise. But on the back of a Subway napkin, we kind of scratched out the idea of 10 stores in a certain time frame, and that was pretty bold.
Oh you saw everybody now even 10xing is the big thing, right?
I guess that's like wow. Yeah, so that was it. Then we just kind of forged ahead, and I was lucky that my partner had some incredible talents. We had very, very different talents, which to this day I appreciate so deeply. I think that there's power in partnership in many ways.
Isn't it funny that even when you look at other relationships where the opposites attract for the fact that they fill the gaps a lot of times that we need to fill, right? Well, I want to actually ask because so many I think of us, especially if you're a single unit business owner, a lot of times now in your structure there was the blessing of the idea of franchising, so there's a structure for that. But so many of them, as we try to go out going, okay, if we're doing this business well, should we do another? Should we do 2, 3, 4? Like, what if I could have, this many a pizza joint everywhere, or I could have a,
shops,
right?
Ice cream stores,
So what were the big fears that what did you have to kind of go through to go? If we don't have this down, what were some of them? Do you think?
Oh man,
I know I'm going back in the way back machine, right?
I think, to be honest, that big picture style thinking was a little bit more geared towards my partner.
Gotcha.
As I was the operating. So I was very boots on the ground, day to day, hustle. He was more big picture planning, but we did a good portion of it together. I remember you got to get your money right. You got to get your money right a little bit.
Hear that.
Like there is no. You got to get your money right a little bit, and to do that, you need to be willing. I think you need to be willing to wait that out a little bit. But at some point,
deferred gratification.
Defer some gratification. But at some point, you're gonna reach a point where okay, it's time, and you're gonna make up excuses like, well, a little bit longer, well, a little bit more money. But no, you kind of reach a point where it's a little bit time, and then you just have to. You just have to do it. So the entry point there was just waiting for other stores to be for sale that were in a certain proximity, and if you wait long enough, unfortunately you'll find some that are distressed.
Yep.
But I guess that's more like a franchise model. If you're going from, like, let's say one coffee shop to the next,
but you might find a location that's a little distressed, right? That you
Correct.
think you could take
Same
advantage
thing,
of.
yeah. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
And I
way to
think
look at
too,
it. Or another shop that doesn't want.
Amen. Right? Yeah. Maybe it is not your same name, but it's another operation.
Correct.
But I think that comes back to something. I then want to throw a little. I think love your way in the way, because I'm a strategy guy, right? And that's you are the first thing I think of, because if I'm going to open another, I need my operations. I need that to be solid, right? And I think that's the thing. If you're doing this part well, you've got the strategy, the money, the portion of that, the capital structure, right? But if you don't have the operation of it right, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, the wheels come off fast.
Right. So let me ask you this. So the thing is, right? You have to have another operations, but as the operations guy, a lot of times you take on that next door, and that next door, and that next door. Does it get to a point where did you find yourself maybe thinning yourself out too much?
3. We got to 3, and then I knew it right away, didn't I?
There's your number, everybody.
3. Didn't need to think about that one. We got to 3, and then it wobbled.
Yeah.
We got to 3, and then it wobbled. And funny enough, right at 2, I found, I found the next date. I got super lucky, or call it some sort of divine entrance.
Yep.
But this guy named Gavin showed up, and I remember when we hired him, he called me and he wouldn't take no for an answer.
Oh, yeah.
I was fine. I had plenty of people at the time, but he calls and he's like, I'm moving down there. I'm familiar with he was coming from the Bay Area.
Huh?
I'm moving down there. I'm familiar with the area. I'm familiar with how to run a store. My father-in-law had one or something. Stepdad, something. I don't know. And so he comes down and he's like, I said, no, we don't have any space.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. Hangs up the phone. The next day calls you back. Hey man, I just want to grab an interview. No, we're not in. Hang up the phone. Next day he calls you back. Finally, I think it was the 4th time. I don't know. He might say it's the 12th time or something. But it was like the 4th or 5th time. I was finally like, okay, I'll sit down with you, right? And my whole I was like, I'm just gonna do what's nice. Maybe he's got, I don't know, whatever. We sit down and like 9 minutes into our conversation, I was like, he's not going anywhere, and I could just feel it.
Yep.
To this day, he's one of my best friends. He's actually my best friend. Just had a baby too.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so excited for him. Just amazing. But he was, just starting college. And anyway, so we get to 3 stores, and at some point he was like, give me a shot. Yeah. Put me in, coach. And I was like, okay. And so he started managing one of my stores, one of the newer ones, and did really well. Learned a lot, stayed with it. And this whole time he was, doing life, going to college, and graduated, but then we get to 4 and 5, and then he starts taking on this deeper operational role as I kind of move into a more, I don't even remember what we called it. The title didn't matter. It was just more do the other stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but he was just so wonderfully well at it. Just so good at it, and his mindset is so good for it. So that was it, yeah.
That's cool. Well, actually, and you just saying something that makes me, I want to ask this question. So, what you said it, this other stuff, right? And a lot of people think, right, if I have one store and I can only, my capital's tight, right? Because I can only afford so much. But if I have 5 stores, it's all easy, right? Everything works, the economy of scales work out, right?
Yeah.
What did you find, what was some of that other stuff that jumped in on you that you're like, all of a sudden scale, because what they don't realize a lot of times is a lot of people don't require scale requires something more.
Yeah.
And so how did you address that? What did you have to do? What are some of the things you kind of thought, I didn't think I'd be doing this, but now that we have these stores, I have to?
Yeah, some of the things that you don't really give a lot of thought to because you think it all stays the same is, let's say, so 2 stores, 3 stores, they do their own ordering. All right, so what do you need? You order it up. Here's your checklist for doing that. But when you get to 5 and 6, you have buying power. Yeah. So you can now do bigger purchases of certain things to order. You have to have more stock on hand for certain stuff. And then, and so I'll give you an example. What that then creates is, you could have somebody now who strategically goes to every store to drop stuff off, check on supplies and stuff.
Now I'm doing the delivery, right?
Yeah, it's a totally different thing. It used to be a little bit more autonomous, which it could still be, but if you want to if you want to seize the ability.
That's the economy of scale, right?
Buying power, yeah, from that example. So you kind of sit around and you're like, I guess we need to create a job description for a person who drops stuff off. Like, I don't know, right? It sounds like a crazy idea, but you do.
Yep. But and that's, you look at that, a lot of times that happens. You don't have the description, so that, very cool.
Yeah, it doesn't match.
So you grew that up. You hit, how you said 10 stores. How many stores did you end up in?
We ended up, so the economy came in, like we all know, and we made it to 6. We made it to 6. All in San Diego.
Very cool.
And again, I look back at that partnership, and I mean, it was like jet. That's cool. It really did work, and I learned so much. I mean, I like to tell people, it's a way to get a business education. Like I got an MBA while getting paid to do it, and hustling my butt off in the process, and that was very valuable, like invaluable.
And it is, it's funny. I remember one time when I was going back to the Bemidji States, they had a alumni leaders in the classroom thing, and they asked, I told them I was a business coach and consultant. And they're like, they all wanted to jump right to that position. They said, what do I need to do that? What do I need for that? And I go, a lot of bloody nothings.
Yeah.
And I think, I love the education that I got. I got my MBA and stuff like that academically, but it was nothing compared to the living MBA that I got through actually operating. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
One side, that the academic side, I think you can actually do the experiential side without the academic. But you can't do the academic without the experiential. I think it just becomes the wheels fall off, and when stress hits, I think that's you're battle tested a little bit in the experiential side when you go through that one.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. So as you've kind of gone through it and grown, I really want to jump ahead. So talk a little bit about your barefoot experience, because I love, I had to learn myself, as a college offensive lineman, I was 310 pounds, 300 pounds, and it took me another 15 years after that or so to figure out that, hey, my father passes at 60, and I decide that, oh wait, maybe I do need to live a healthier life, or else I'll end up at 60 as well. And so I figured that and so a lot of the stuff that you say resonates so much in that. So what got you there? How did you figure that out? Give me that story. We want this story.
That one's interesting. So I grew up as a teenager. I was a barefoot kid.
Oh, okay.
So I remember one specific time. So I was a teenage kid. I grew up in San Diego, so I was on the beach. But it just struck me. I would try to get away with it in school. So like in high school, like I'd put them in the locker and stuff. Busted all the time. But I loved it, and it just felt right to me. And I remember at one point, I used to illegally drag race in San Diego because I was into cars. Yep. And so I remember at one point I was with all my friends, and we're standing at like a spot where we would all meet. And we're standing and we're talking, we're just doing car stuff, and they all start giggling, and I was like, why are they all giggling like kids? And I looked down, and during the course of talking, they had all spit in a circle around me because I was barefoot. Oh. And they were waiting for me to like step into it, right? So that resonates with me because I remember that being a time right when I sort of stopped doing it. It was just after that I stopped. And it could have been, that, yeah. But fast forward, a few years later, I just stopped doing it. My life got really unhealthy. I became an alcoholic. And I remember that being a very inauthentic time of my life. That wasn't me. That kind of lifestyle, that choice wasn't me. And later when I went back, it was also the one part of my life where I was not barefoot. So, not grounded. Yep. And because of that, my personality, my emotions, my everything just kind of ran a little wild. Which is what happens in your body when you don't ground. Stuff gets very disorganized.
And you look at it, and I love the inauthentic part of it. And we are also inauthentic in the way that we try to live what we think society thinks we should live like, right? And we get caught in that. And I appreciate you saying that, because I think there's a big lesson what you just said there, because the inauthenticness that we find ourselves in, and the wobble that happens there, and all things happen from alcoholism to overeating to all this stuff. And when we get back to our true self and really understanding our core valuation, and we're okay with who we are and the connectedness, it's amazing the life that we can actually see happen.
Yes, so, very true.
Oh, that's awesome. So one of the things, I'm going to jump into the Power 7 questions, and I've got my notes here because I don't remember stuff, so we're going to do this. All right, here we go. Jump into, all right, here's my question. Here we go. So the first one, as we said, is what is something profound you hope someone says someday about you or your business?
Well, me personally, I think there are things that we could be. I want to use the word jealousy or envious of.
Yep.
But I don't mean that in like a negative way. Like I think it's good to be like envious of someone as a positive trait.
Because I went through this, let me say this: is it leading by example? Setting an example.
Somebody that's an example. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I remember feeling the feeling of the people who showed up at my father's funeral. Some of which were people that he had mentored and taught throughout his construction career. And I remember one of them walking up to me and saying, his name was Joe, and he said, hey Greg, I recognize you. The last time I saw you, you were this big. Because I used to go with my dad to work, and we'd like see all the tractors, and it was just awesome. And he's like, I think you're going to be really surprised by how many people who he hasn't talked to in years show up. And sure enough, my brother and I both spoke in my dad's service, and I remember one thought as I was speaking was this whole back right corner of the church just filled with construction people whose lives he had touched. And Joe said to me, most of us have the jobs we have now because of what he taught us.
Wow.
And
Legacy,
so
huh?
Legacy,
Wow,
yeah. And I suppose, when I look at that, my father is one of the people I just dearly. My father and my brother are two of my heroes, really. And so there are certain people who have a deep, they just touch lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it doesn't come from, there's no script for that. So you just have to be you in whatever way that is you that allows you to just, just to softly reach souls.
To care, right? To care, yeah.
And so I don't know. I hope to be that person at some point. I hope to live up to that style of
brother
connectivity.
That's a great one. If we could all live, So.
As for my business, though, I think I would love it if it felt authentic to people. Yeah. And not pretentious.
Yep.
Like I think that means the most to me.
Yeah. It's not about the business. It's about doing the business. It's about doing well. And
correct.
Serving. Very cool. That's a great one. All right. So next one, I love this one because this one, when I put these Power 7 together, one thing I didn't want to just be kind of questions. Some were a little more standardized, but like this one was good because I think this is where we always teach about learning through our mistakes. And so, what is the greatest mistake you have ever made in business, and how did it impact or change you?
Well, that is a good question. This one's embarrassing.
I like it, but that's the best ones, right? I mean, we can authentically say, that these are the ones we slapped in the face, but no, bring this one. Listen to this one. This is gonna be good.
I did not know that there's something that happens when you make the gap between being an employee and an owner. It's called taxes. And I say that.
Oh no, this is not we're all
of us. Taxes, and unfortunately, and I don't know if it was purposeful or not. It probably wasn't purposeful, but my partner at the time when I was making that transition kind of didn't warn me. and maybe he just assumed I was good at my due diligence, but I didn't have any formal education. So sure enough, my first year of ownership, my taxes, I was like, what the hell just happened? No one prepared me for that. And so, but what's interesting is it forced you to get super focused.
Yep.
And then the next year, well, I sure as hell did not make that mistake again.
I'm saving extra, right?
Yeah, it chewed me alive. And so I did the math, and I was like, literally, for every $1, this much needs to go away.
Yep.
Open an account, and just started stockpiling it, for when you need it. And it is that simple.
Yeah.
It really is that simple. Until you start to learn more ways that you can do it right.
Yep.
But I didn't know it.
Yep. Well, and even that too. Like I said, the thing is, that if you are strategically doing it right, you meet with your, if you all have an accountant, make sure you meet with them. That just be at the beginning of that fourth quarter. Do not meet with them December 25th or December 20th, and hope to make a change by the end of the year.
No.
Make sure it's at the beginning of that fourth quarter, and you have that conversation about. Here's what my income is looking like. Yes, it's going to cost you an extra $400 for the consult or whatever it is.
Very worth it.
Very worth it, right?
Very
Absolutely. And nice is if you save that money, now it truly is a windfall that you can strategically do something.
Yes.
If you are able to buy a car,
Yes,
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Great.
Yeah, and so that lesson has been duplicated because when I branched out on my own, I had my own, and that was different. because you don't have a partner.
Right.
And it does actually change the dynamic. And then when you go from 1 to 2 on your own, now that dynamic's also different. So every time that happened, I had to consult and learn something new.
Well, and that's and being open to, like, it's yes, it's going to cost you to get the information from your account, from a consultant, from a business, but it's going to cost something.
Yes.
But it's an investment that's
very
well worth it.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a great one.
I'm embarrassed to share that one, actually.
And the funny thing is, I think
people are like, you got it all figured out,
right? But I think a lot of people just went,
yeah. Maybe.
So,
okay.
So this was, but I like it just because I think quotes give us some guidance, give some overarching. So, what is your favorite quote and why?
Oh man, quotes are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't scroll past it, metaphorically and physically.
Yep.
So like, if it resonates, let it, and then sit with it. So, I don't know if it's exactly Tony Robbins that's credited with this.
Yeah.
But it's not what makes it who you become.
Yeah.
And for some reason that stuck with me, and I've seen it so often. In my tribe, in people that work for me, who naturally say, I want a raise, or I want, and most often, they'll leave, they'll go somewhere, or they'll want to go somewhere else for another $1 an hour, and I say that's great. I'm happy to support that, but who are you becoming by doing that?
Yep.
And often it's not better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's often not better. Also, in terms of like thinking about scale, so if you think about scale, sure, you might earn more, but who do you become? So this is the reverse of that. If you scale and you're not ready for it, you become a nightmare.
Oh, right.
Like, so it can be good and bad.
Yep.
So who you become, like, does the thing you want to do empower you? Does it embolden you? Does it make you a more actualized person in the world? Or is it gonna tank you? And so with that comment, or with that quote, I also have one that I found myself through sobriety, and that is, what you consume can consume you.
Yes.
So, and that goes with everything. It could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be food, it could be media, it could be people, it could be ideas. It's very scary.
It's funny, and it can be things like funny. I was talking with a client one time. We were talking about, but one of the things can be yoga, right? Like, sometimes when people are in about taking self-care, they take it to a level where they're self above everything else. They destroy everything else around them if it serves them.
Yes.
And it becomes so egocentric.
Yes.
And it's funny, even things that are good, right? All of a sudden, in that media.
That's a great point. Yeah, there's balance.
Yeah.
But that Tony Robbins quote is the one that kind of just, it always makes me think.
He's a good one. He's got some good ones, right?
Yeah. Wonderful.
So
I have a dream of going to one of his events, by the way. I have not yet done it. It's on my bucket list.
Hey, if anybody else here is
who wants to go?
Hit me up, DM me, and we'll talk. I've actually been looking to do one too, and so, maybe we'll pick. Vegas is always easy to fly into, but if there's something Midwest or something somebody wants to do, let's throw some dates out and let's get that done.
I love that.
Oh,
right on.
Look at that little intention out there.
I know.
World,
yeah.
So. All right, I'll actually put it in the comments on the video here too, is where we're going. So, what is one thing you would tell the starting out version of you, and how would it have changed your life?
Starting out version. So I guess the starting out version of me would be my entry point into business. Okay. Not necessarily like when I was 3. Because I'm starting out somewhere. But yeah, my entry point into business ownership. It really is a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say, take it seriously, but not too seriously, because it really is kind of a fun game. Like, and there are all these little pieces that go into business, and there are many pieces.
Yep.
But they do fit.
Yep.
And you just gotta play with the pieces on the board, and you'll start to see more fits. Yep. More patterns will show up, more things, and to not be like too emotional about it. You have to be some. Yeah. But almost to take like a fun and a little stoic like approach to it.
Well, the thing with it, right? That the more you force something, just by name, the more you force something, the more friction that's created. The more friction that's created, the more stress is created. The more stress is created, the more friction. I mean, it cycles itself exactly, and that's how we blow up on our business.
Yeah.
So
that's what I would say.
I love that one. That's a great one. That's a great one. What is one thing you did that hurt or was painful to do, but you absolutely love that you did it?
You can tell that comes out right away. Leaving my partners. We had spent 10 years together. There's another job in the bucket.
No, that's.
And we had gone from a single store to 6. 36 employees I had at that time. And I remember the moment. It's funny how clarity happens. It was a huge shift in my life, like just massive shift in my life. Because in the course of about, I think it was like 18 months, 3 things happened. My wife walked out on me because I was an alcoholic. I realized I was an alcoholic. I got sober.
Yep.
And then a rush of clarity came in that told me this partnership isn't for you. And it was weird because you hear that and you like want to look over your shoulder like somebody's kidding.
Yep.
And I was like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard myself
You're
say.
grasping for some stability, and it's telling you instability. Wow.
It's literally pushing you out of it. And I remember when I spoke to my dad about it for the first time, or my parents, but my dad was like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Kind of very, just single phrase, nothing more. I think that's a good idea. He believed it, deeply. My mom, on the other hand, was like, oh my God, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your this, you're going to, I was like, maybe I will. I don't know, but I'm losing my soul if I stick around. Divorce, like wife walked out, realized I was an alcoholic, got sober, and then left my extremely good 6-store empire, 36 employees, partnership.
And stability that went with that, or you knew kind of,
the whole thing was just all over the place. And that was tough. That was really tough.
Ballsy.
It was very ballsy. I suppose when you're really, really far down, like when you just get kicked, you're kind of like,
the step off's not.
You're just kind of like, let's do this. What's next? Let's go. Or something. I don't know. But I knew it inside. I was like, I can do this on my own.
Yeah. It's funny, and I get that. We're at the same thing where I remember used to say it that sometimes God tickles you with a feather to get your attention. Sometimes he uses a brick. Like we use the whole apartment building for me. Yeah, use the whole apartment building for me. It's like you're hard-headed and dumb. I'm gonna get this one.
Threw it at you. Wow. But what does that mean? Like an actual apartment building?
No,
learned a lesson.
Wow. It took enough bricks of an apartment, for me to fight. Because it is, I was just so hard-headed that no, I've got this, and you lose peace, and for me it's kind of sort of my dad, and then my dog, which is all these little things that go, my wife, and all these things that walk me, and all of a sudden, and it just all of a sudden you need to be brought down to that level where you can. All that's left is your authentic soul, and now you can rebuild, right?
That is so well put because that's exactly what happened. Yeah. And by the way, that was when I started going barefoot.
There we go. Yeah. And we love barefoot. All right. That was a good one. That was great. This one is this one it hits and there's something chilling about it, but it's such great for everybody to understand this one because we get here. How close were you to giving up? What got you there, and then what got you back?
Well, quite honestly, that was probably a point.
Yeah,
it really was. That was probably the point. So I suppose what got me there was this huge life change. I kind of joke. I got 2 divorces in the first. I got 2 divorces within a year. I mean, splitting a partnership is not easy.
No.
But a testament to my partner, he was really good about it. I remember I was like, hey, we gotta have dinner. He was like, okay. And it was funny because we picked a spot which was fairly close to our office at the time, and we both rode skateboards there. Because I was like, so he shows up and I was like, oh, you brought your board, and I was just kind of amused with the memory that I remember. And he was open to it. I think later it got a little tough. afterwards, but at the beginning kind of thing was like, okay.
Yeah. It is what it's how do we do it, right? That gets a little difficult.
Yeah,
man,
exactly.
That's difficult. Like,
It's very hard, and but what got me through that was this kind of idea, or this vision, or this. I mean, quite honestly, this feeling of like, cool, I can do it on my own, and I can do it my way now.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's something about that doesn't have to be perfect, but it feels right.
Yeah.
And so I was holding on to that pretty hard. Yeah, that pursuit of freedom. Like, this is my vision of what is going to be different, and that vision felt really good.
Yeah.
And it was enough to create. It was enough to jump through all the hurdles.
You know, we talk like when I go with my clients, we always set up our vision, the vision book, right? And we see because if we don't have that vision, what's going to get us through them tough times and how we're going to roll it's darn near impossible if you don't have something to hold on and grab a greater good, a greater cause, a greater value, greater service, right?
And you got to feel it. And you got to feel it. It has to feel like something.
Yep.
It can't just be like words on a thing.
Logic ain't getting you through that stuff.
You have to feel it.
That's awesome.
Which is weird. Like, how many people say, you gotta feel business, man.
Right.
I gotta feel it.
Yeah, because
it's so true.
We think we can analyze it out, and you can't. Like, and me, I struggle a great deal with that because I'm an analytic, right? So I would try to get, and you can't. There's things you just gotta say, okay, have some trust. Have you?
Yeah.
So that's why them shoes that I got the K-Swiss ones that were risk, and for me, kind of stepping out saying risk is okay, and but you gotta feel it, So that's awesome. So looking ahead, what is the gap that you feel needs to be closed by yourself or your company? Like, where's that next, closure of gap that we want to look at?
Well, so I broke out I branched out on my own, and then I had a single store, and I was like, this is great. It's a massive pay cut, but I was cool with it.
Yep.
Because with that came, like at the time my dad was very sick, and I was like, this is good. I can spend more time with my family. And it was actually very shortly after that he passed, but I just felt this sense of like this is okay. Yeah, like this is gonna be okay, and it's different, and it's not making as much money, but it's okay, and it's gonna be so. I was there, and then I went. Then I didn't really plan to, but a second store came up around me, and I was like, good, and I got that, and then I built my third one. So what happened was I scaled back up again. And I kind of did it unintentionally. Like, I had this idea, and it was part of my vision board. Was like, I want 3. But at some point, it was a little bit like I'm just throwing ideas at the board.
Yeah.
But if you don't have something, you don't have anything. So I was okay with it. And what happened was I didn't expect to do it, but it just kept showing up. I didn't expect to do it at all, but it just kept showing up. So I just kept following.
Yeah. So that gap kind of is kind of that
now
where that vision changes or where it goes, or is it
right? So now I'm at 3 stores, and I realized that some of the systems I kind of didn't bring along because I grew pretty fast.
Yeah.
I bought one every other year.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we're like the systems and the.
Ooh, I'm liking this one.
And I'm doing it all on my own now.
Yeah.
So before I had a partner and an ops manager, but it's a little bit more on my own now. At the same time, I step back and I go, like, what do I really need? So what I want to do right now is to get a little tighter on some of my systems.
Foundational,
Get a little bit tighter on my people. And because my ultimate goal is to really work on my businesses only 20%. I know that sounds crazy, but only 20%. And I want the 80% to be somewhat automated, and people who really matter, who know what they're doing, doing it. So that'll take time. I mean, that's not like next week it's going to happen. And then the 20% I want to be just my authentic input into the business. So whether that's showing up authentically to events, representing myself within the community, I want to be that connected. So like basically wake up every morning and think to myself, how can I serve my community? And let that be the number one question. How can I serve my community? How can I serve my people? And not even have to like go into my stores to do it. Like that would be the ultimate.
And the thing is, for all you out there too, the 80-20 thing, or the 20-80 thing,
I didn't even think of that.
Is completely possible. Yeah, exactly. But it's completely possible. And the answer from where you're at to where you want to be in that structure is really good delegation. Intentionally process it, and like he's saying, it won't be overnight. It's going to take, you know, if not months, if not years, to process through that. And as you go through that, though, it's all possible.
Yeah.
And it's that the empowerment, once they take the ownership, all of a sudden it grows on its own of what they want to be able to do with it. And so it gives you even more and more freedom, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And so you just show up, and you know, I have a client who is in retail clothing, and she is amazing, Chappie, and she was Dakota Chappie up in North Dakota, and one of the things we say for her is that she is so enigmatic, and people just love, I say, show up and dazzle. And that's a big thing for her. When she shows up and dazzles, the rest of it can go, that people can do what they do, and she just attracts such a beautiful energy to it, and she serves in such an amazing way that you're able to do that. And there's a whole cap on the company that doesn't exist when you're able to do that, right?
Oh, wow,
and
so well put. And actually that resonates because something that my tribe has been telling me lately is show up.
Yep.
And so I started listening to that.
Yep.
You know, in fact, one of them, bless her soul, was like, "Look, it's way different when you're here.
Yep.
Like we really like you around." Yep. Now you could only be in 3 stores so much.
Yep.
You know, really, but I heard that. Like I didn't just hear it; I felt it.
Well, that's great. You know, and I think in that sometimes what we don't realize is when we hear show up from our employees, right? Like, I need you here more. I need you more. I need, right? That there's something that they're missing in that, right? There's a wholeness that they're missing. And what we think we fill it up with is time. We fill it up with hours. The problem is we need to fill it up with presence.
Yeah.
Right? When we come and we're there,
yeah,
that may fill up an entire week's worth of cup that they need to fill up.
So
versus
true.
being, hey guys, yeah, I'll come doing some stuff. I'm in the back office here. I was doing some stuff, but they want you there.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, there's a different energy that an owner or a GM or whatever presents.
Yep.
It's just a little bit different.
Yep.
It's just a little bit different. And I know it's so interesting because I know what I can bring.
Yep.
Without sounding too like self-righteous, but I know what I can bring, and it is a good energy.
Yep.
If I'm there and I choose to do it, and so that is something I want to do more.
Yeah, that's awesome, and you will see it as you bring that energy that comes in, it just flows, and that's what they need, you know.
Yeah.
So, well, that is awesome. Let me just get a couple last questions here. This has been a great week. Sitting oceanside. Yeah,
I've been hearing it the whole time. I think it's giving me this like good vibe.
Good peace, right? It rolls in and rolls out, just like everything else in life. So as we're looking at, here's the. What is something I think the Greatness Garage members should be asking themselves? Like, as they're going through business owners and they're kind of, what is something you think that they should be asking themselves on an ongoing basis, checking in type of thing?
Well, one thing that a couple things actually, that I think really hit me. There's a systematic way to approach business, right? And so yes, do that.
Yep.
And some of it is like a recipe, and you really want to just try to follow the recipe.
Yep.
And have good people around you who can teach you the recipe, or look at it and go, "This doesn't taste so good. Change the recipe."
Yep.
And that's important. But when we bring authenticity to it, then it's unique. And it's not just the recipe.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the business world, a lot of people just follow the dynamics to the number, but that's not always. If your personality is out of it, what's the point?
Yeah.
So I would probably say 2 things. One, when you choose to do something, I'm trying to think of really great examples. And we all know them. I know that there's people out there who know them. A business who, buy sunscreen from, and their ads are like super funny, and you've never heard of them before, and then you get the sunscreen and you open it up, and like you open the top of the box, and there's like a smiley face that says, "Hey, we're stoked you bought our sunscreen." That's that's authentic. That's personality, and whatever it is that you're doing, you can do that. So a simple example is, do not, in my opinion, do not send boring emails.
Yeah.
You're communicating with other people. Be sure, but at the same time, tell them that you're lucky to work with them.
Yeah.
Say, "I'm super stoked to hear." Use your language, not mine, but do it in an authentic way.
Well, and I think what you're saying in there too is live with your authentic heart in front. We always hide that, right? Because we don't want to get hurt. But live with it out there, that it delivers a. Yeah.
And there are times when I do it, and I'm like, that sounded really dumb. Like there are times I do it, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't talk to the loan officer like that. But then I back up and I go, yeah, I should.
Yep.
Yeah, I should, because that loan officer goes home and watches some, obscure television show, just like the rest of us. They're completely normal. So, like why not make a joke about, the sun or whatever? Like,
Yes.
it's okay. Like, it's okay. I've had moments where I've shown up to business meetings, in flip-flops, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then I'm like, no, that's who I am.
Yep.
It's okay. Like,
well, to kind of touch on that one a little bit here. So when he came in and asked, he says, "Oh, hey, what should we wear? What should I wear?" I said, "Come as you are." So that's exactly what this is, and this is
quite honestly, that was uncomfortable. I was like, so sometimes I'm ahead of it, and I'm like, me forward. And sometimes I'm like, it's the shyness of whatever happened to me as a kid when I stood out.
Amen.
Or something, I don't know. But even with you, because I respect you so much, I was like, I want to show up right, this is actually the best.
And that's why I told him show up authentically, and it's beautiful. This is how and that's part of the reason I think that we got so much value out of you is that because you showed up authentically, there's no perfect to it. You were honest with us, and that's what the Greatness Garage is supposed to be, right? Is where people are just being honest and saying, hey, it doesn't always go well.
The other thing I thought of when you asked that question, which is probably worth mentioning, the bonus round,
for sure.
is the idea of just because you could do something with your business doesn't mean you should. Yeah, like it's really important to not only have business acumen, but also wisdom for yourself. Like just because I could do a fourth store, I could do a fifth store, I could do a sixth store on my own because I could. Doesn't mean I should. Doesn't mean I should.
You say that because wisdom, one of my core values is wisdom. And for me, and when I define wisdom, my wisdom is this: you have one mouth, 2 ears, use accordingly. And, I think that's the thing is that when we're listening to that, and what I heard later about wisdom was that you should listen for wisdom, right? But remember that you also have to listen to yourself. And I think, unfortunately, we listen sometimes to the noise coming out to us, but we got to be quiet and settle and listen to what we're trying to say to ourselves.
Yes. So here's a great example. I love the idea of people 10xing their business. I love it. Doesn't mean everybody should do it.
No. Amen, right?
If you just got married and you had a kid and, maybe it's not the time. Like maybe you need to take a couple, 3-4 years off and live with your life a little bit. And then so it's not always, that's a great example of advice. The external advice, take it in. The process it through your system of how you look at the world and want to interact with the world. And then decide what you should.
And respond authentically. Right? So, well, we started this thing out by, you were going to tell us, so what is the matter with people? What is the matter with people nowadays?
The matter with people is people matter.
How about that one?
In business, it's the one thing. People matter. So you got to listen, and you got to listen. You got to be a good helper. You have to be able to see all the pieces of the puzzle, and then help explain that, and help bring people along for the journey that supports them. Some of them are not going to like all of it. Some of them aren't. People matter, man. It's the one thing in business that will never not be a part of this. No matter what, it doesn't matter. If you're making tires or you're making quiche, it doesn't matter. People matter.
And you like the prophet Marcus Lemonis, right? Product, process, and people. And that's the thing is that it's 30% of that, 33% of that, right? And understanding that it's such a huge thing. And understanding that people are not just tools, right? And because a hammer can only be a hammer, but a person who is a clerk can be a manager, a supervisor, a leader, an owner, right? Something so much more dynamic. And so,
that's people matter. My dad taught me that. My dad taught me that. He was always very geared towards. I remember when he got laid off once. He spent 3 days after he got laid off, calling other companies to find jobs for his 40 workers.
Oh my, wow.
Before he went to look for a job for himself.
That's epic.
Because he cared about his people.
And it's those lessons that guide us in our heart-centric and our it's doing right. Well, Greg, thank you so much, brother. This is amazing. I think you guys were blessed for an amazing nugget today in what you got. You got a view of Mauna Kea. You talk about business and the challenges they're going through. The science world and the religious world and the spiritual world, and trying to clash. How do they find peace within that? And it's very emblematic of what we face in business and in our own souls and our own journey.
Yeah, this is so very true.
Well, brother, thank you again, and Greatness Garagers, enjoy this one, and you share it out. Tell people to come join the Greatness Garage. This one is about being authentic. And comment below if you've got thoughts on this. Share this stuff out with your opinions and thoughts, and let's everybody learn.
Yeah, I want to hear too.
Yeah, exactly.
Share some cool stuff. And for those Tony Robbins people,
yep,
we're gonna go.
Yep, we'll be putting that down in the comments here in the next couple days or week, and it'll be there.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Mahalo.
Thank you, brother.
There, brother. I hope you enjoyed the interview today and found value that you can implement in your business immediately. Remember, action is what makes this information all worth it. If you need help figuring out what that action is, go to callwithbrad.com and we'll get some clarity and help you figure out what that should be.